So looking to tame one of the many new unique creatures on Astreaos, of which there are quite a few. Here's a guide on every map specific creature you can find on this Greek themed map. Kicking off of course with the brand new map specific Grand Tortugar, can be found pretty quickly in the easy spawns of the map, and a very easy time at that to knock out without the requirement of a saddle, so it could be your very first cargo hauling black pearl farming creature. Coming up next is, yes, the once Fjorda exclusive, then Lost Colony exclusive, now an Astreaos edition, the blood-sucking, sanguine-creating, cave-flying Desmodus can be found within specific caves across the entirety of the map. Need yourself some Deathworm horns to tame yourself some Mantis or maybe get some XP? Well, they're here, migrating from Scorched Earth to roam the dunes in the desert of Astreaos, so keep your eyes on that rumbling sand if you intend to cross the dunes. Another brought over from Scorched Earth, a surprise edition, and definitely a welcomed one from me, seeing I've got to tame a new one. The life-rewarding, resource-replenishing, but paying to tame without sacrificing one of your precious, decent dinos. Oasisaurs can be found roaming the deserts as well. And getting now some actual spawn locations, so you're now within a chance to actually tame one of these. The flint farming in bucket loads for Fasolasuchus can be found all across the dunes as well. Get your grenades at the ready and look out for those metal or crystal nodes. Increasing its spawn locations tenfold, the boozalicious alcoholic drifter Ceratosaurus can now be found all across the desert to farm for those spines and get yourself some hemogoblins to tame some too. And a brand new surprising addition. It's kind of weird to be adding these to a creature location guide, but you know, they're here, they're on this map. There's variants of the thralls you know from Lost Colony, this time in the skeletal, malnourished form, protecting their own mini stone strongholds, though these ones you can't actually attack. It does look like you're simply bobbing and weaving these guys for those red crates. And watch out, because those crossbow dudes especially pack a serious punch with their fire arrows. Another once Scorched Earth exclusive, now dominating the sands of Astreaos, can be found and tamed to pack yourself your very own stone farming tanky rock elemental, so get those cannons at the ready. And hey, if you fancy dropping some green poop from the skies, well, there's no better way to do it than backing yourself a Lymantria. Joining the dunes of Astreaos, at least good for farming for silk, right? I'm not sure why else you'd want to find one of these, but if you know, drop a comment below, let me know. And that's right, the big, bad, mean king or queen scorpions can be found awaiting you to challenge them all across the dunes and within certain caves in Astreaos. And if you're planning to raise a certain creature, you're definitely going to want to encounter these, and watch out, they deal some serious bleed, so get your reflecting bleeder thylers at the ready. And if you want to step up that challenge even more so, well, guess what? There's Astral variants roaming the sands, swapping with their spawns too. And of course, hidden within them, if you've got the courage to take one down, you're going to find yourself some cheeky loot to bag and take home. Everyone's favourite multi-purpose flyers, the Wyverns, are now back in force, doubling with a brand new spawn location to the cove you had in the north. This time now with a very easy to reach scar for eggs of any of the 3 variants for you to run in and out on foot. You can do just that. Another surprising addition, and whilst these can't be tamed, it's worth noting because these minion versions of the Rhyniognatha's that you know are going to be down in their very own hornet nest, protecting poly plants for you to farm bucket loads of the stuff. But watch out, if they manage to target you, you're going to be running for the hills, because literally everything will aggro on you. And believe it or not, weather systems are now in Astreaos in their own very unique forms, and what better way to predict the weather than with a Jerboa? They can be found all across Astreaos now within these new locations within the south too. And now pretty much giving Scorched Earth no reason to venture to unless you want to get Ascension levels, the Phoenix can now be found on Astreaos, and that means of course you're going to find much better levels to tame with the higher RNG with this map, but naturally you're going to have to wait for that certain heat wave if you intend to find one springing from its ashes to burn with everything you got to bag yourself your very own fiery bird of prey. And hey, you might have forgotten about this, but still a great starter tame with some decent base weight, but more importantly, the opportunity to offer you some mobile irrigation. Morellatops can be found all across these south areas of Astreaos. And still perhaps quite an underestimated shoulder tame when it comes to dealing some serious armor piercing damage, and don't forget it spoils your meat pretty quickly as well. But let's face it, it's more than likely they're going to ruin a tame in progress. Vultures can be found all across the south too. So you got yourself those Deathworm horns, now it's easier than ever to bag yourself an element farming knockout king. jumping praying mantis. And now with plenty of spawns, there's definitely a higher chance to find a decent melee variant to farm those veins. And oh why, I can only fathom that the Karkinos didn't have any input into why this has been added to the map, but I know a lot of you out there like this thing. You know how I feel about Pyromanes. Kill them, blow them up to smithereens. But if you want, without a question, one of the easiest creatures to get up and go, well, now you can even more with additional spawns now in the south too. Underrated when it comes to harvesting wood, did you know that? Their torpedoing abilities, perhaps not so much, but gotta say they've got a pretty cool saddle that people overlook. Thorny Dragons! You can find these all across on the south of Astreaos also. And another one that's quite a surprise to see added to Astreaos, but I guess, you know, on Extinction they can be a bit hit and miss. Of course, the levels on there suck, so you're going to get a much better level if you intend to tame one on here. But then again, these over Valwins, which one are you going to choose? But if you want to choose an Armadoggo, now you can. And with all of the player boosting variety saddles it does offer, perhaps now's the time to invest in one. Go check them out down here. And that's right, you've probably already heard by now, there's a brand new location that's been added to the north of Astreaos with 2 cave entrances, and when entering you'll find yourself a rock drake filled gold mine to bag yourself eggs even easier than Aberration by far. With now no requirement of hazard suit, so scuba or ghillie will do just fine, and if you want some brownie points, make sure to steal your first egg with a Cosmo. But this cave doesn't just contain rock drakes, there's now more spawns for you to tame yourself a Karkinos, for example, if you intend to bag yourself a dual-wielding, harvesting companion, happy slappy Karkinos. And joined within this cave as well is, of course, the very heavy metal-reducing, decent for travelling, bleeding when wild but not when tamed Ravagers. And yet another one I'm surprised to see added to this map. Of course, not a map exclusive anymore, and certainly a great mobile hunter within the right hands. The ever-stalking, ever-menacing Megaraptor can be found now on Astreaos, so get those torches at the ready. And along with it, that other creature that got revealed at the same time, that yeah, was already spawning on Astreaos, but it's good to refresh your memories, right? The crowd-pleasing, buffing, Groot-growing bear, Elderclaws can be found all across in these locations. Alongside the once Ragnarok exclusive creatures now added to Astreaos as well, giving even less reason to join that map and perhaps swaying the decision into Astreaos being the all-purpose, ever creature-pleasing map. Yeah, I know. Bisons can be found all across in these locations. With, alongside those loot-rewarding, player-buffing Drakelings can be found all across Astreaos in one of their 4 unique forms, with some changes specifically to the Spring Drakeling variants, with them now actually being able to be found and tamed, along of course with the other 3, and make sure you've got one in your back if you intend to start running some OSDs to get some serious high-level tiered loot. And that wraps up with, of course, the traditional vanilla spawning dinos, but we wanted to specifically look at those unique map variants for you to tame, and on reflection, boy oh boy, this map has almost every single creature, yeah, bar the Lost Colony creatures and perhaps Reapers. Is there anything else we're missing? But either way, I hope this has helped. If it has, you know what to do. Comment below, let me know. Until the next one, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, peace out.